Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. The soldiers have come and they are describing the fierceness of the battlefield. We have already seen some 3-4 verses, but still more are to come. And very loathsome description of the fierceness of the battlefield. It comes alive when Bhasa describes it in so many long compounded sentences. We already finished till verse 7. Let us start with the verse 8 today, Urubhangam, verse 8. This is a part of Vishkambhaka, and the soldiers are describing the battleground. prasaktanārācanipātapātitaḥ samagrayuddhodyatakalpito gajaḥ viśīrṇavarmā saśaraḥ sakārmuko nṛpāyudhāgāram iva avasīdati. The main sentence, gajaḥ avasīdati, an elephant is dropping down, is falling down. Ava plus sīda is to fall down. Gajaḥ avasīdati. And then all the prathamanta adjectives, they are the epithets of gaja. They are the adjectives of gaja. So you can just collect these nominative singular adjectives. prasaktanārācanipātapātitaḥ, number 1. samagrayuddhodyatakalpito, number 2. viśīrṇavarmā, number 3. saśaraḥ, number 4. and sakārmuko, number 5. And then there is an upama given, a simile, nṛpāyudhāgāram iva. Gajaḥ avasīdati, gaja falls down, iva, like nṛpāyudhāgāra. Nṛpa, the king. Ayudhāgāra, his weaponry, his yuddhakhana or ayudhakhana, ayudhāgāra, shastrāgāra. So, nṛpasya ayudhāgāram iva, shastrāgāram iva, gajaḥ avasīdati. Why this gaja is compared to the ayudhāgāra or the shastrāgāra of a king? Shastrāgāra will have all the weapons stored in it, right, at one place. Similarly, this gaja is looking like a shastrāgāra. But all shastras are there. There will be bows and arrows and swords and spears and javelins and swords. So many things would be there. So similarly, the gaja is also carrying all these. And secondly, gaja is so gigantic, so voluminous, so big in size that it looks as if the shastrāgāra of the king. Now what are all these adjectives? What do they indicate? Sakārmuko, he is carrying kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ. Kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ nama dhanushyam, the bow. Some bows, the sainikas, the kings are fighting, and while releasing the arrows, somebody else chops off that rathi's head, and that kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ also goes from his hand. That bow also is released from his hand, and it falls somewhere. It has stuck on the elephant's body. Why it has stuck? Because there are so many arrows previously piercing the great body of the elephant, and therefore with those arrows, that kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ also got stuck up. Sakārmuko, saśaraḥ, along with the arrows. viśīrṇavarmā. Varma is the armor, the kavacham. Armor, the kavacham, the coat of nails, you can say. So that viśīrṇa, the gaja, will also have a kavacha. As the warriors wear the kavacha, similarly the gaja also has a kavacha, especially to protect the temple. The horses also have kavacha to cover their mouths. So viśīrṇavarmā, the varma, the kavacha is all scattered, is all pierced and shattered. Viśīrṇa, shattered. This gaja is samagrayuddhodyatakalpito. It is made ready, kalpitaha, sajjibhutaha. For what? Samagra yuddha. For the entire warfare, the gaja was prepared to face and stand there for the entire battle, okay, till the battle gets over for the day. But because prasaktanārācanipātapātitaḥ, so many nāracha, the iron, the iron tipped and the iron bodied arrows hitting him and sticking to his body, piercing his body, patitaḥ, he was failed down. So he fell down, the gaja, pierced by so many iron tipped arrows, and his kavacha also got shattered, and the bows got entangled in those pierced arrows, and this is how he fell down. And while he fell down, it looked like as if the nṛpasya shastrāgaram iva patitam. Okay, so here is a description of this gaja. Number one, the size of the gaja, and number two is so many weapons are entangled on his body. It looks like the shastrāgara of the king. Now, other soldier, he again says, idam aparam pashyetam bhavanto. See, at one corner you are seeing this gaja, I can see something else. Let me describe that as well. And this is a very bibhats type of upama. I mean, the upamas here, upama Kalidasasya. We have seen in our Kalidasa Khandakavya camp how upamas are beautifully employed by Kalidasa. Here, because the fearfulness and the woes of the war are being brought out, the upamas are filled with bibhatsarasa, the loathsome, and therefore they are not so charming. Of course, battle is never a lovable thing, right? Mālyairdhvajāgrapatitaiḥ kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ ratnaikasāyakavaraṃ rathinaṃ vipannam jāmātaraṃ pravahaṇādiva bandhunāryo hṛṣṭāḥ śivā rathamukhādavatārayanti. An upama is also very not at all charming. It creates horripilation due to horror of the wars. Śivā hṛṣṭāḥ. Śivā are the females jackals, so that is the foxes. The female foxes, hṛṣṭāḥ, they are very happy because they got so much of food to eat on the battlefield. Right? The jackals, the wolves, the vultures, they are all very happy. They get feasted. When some war happens, they get a feast. So, hṛṣṭāḥ śivā rathinaṃ rathamukhādavatārayanti. Rathamukhādavatārayanti. Ava plus through is to come down, to descend. The rathi himself is not coming down. He will fight as long as he is alive. But once he falls down, once he falls dead, then these śivā, they are, pulling him from the ratha because they want to have a feast on his flesh. Rathamukhādavatārayanti, they are pulling these dead bodies of the warriors from the rathamukha, from the ratha. They are falling dead in their chariots. So these śivā, the foxes, the female jackals, are pulling these dead bodies. And for that, an upama which is given not at all enjoyable, yatha bandhunāryo pravahaṇāt jāmātaraṃ avatarayanti tadvat. Bandhunāryo, the ladies of the related people. I mean, the bride's side's ladies, as they would bring down that jāmātā from the ratha, from his pravahana, he is riding maybe a horse, he may be coming in a palanquin or a ratha. They would, hastily, they want to welcome him, right? These bandhunāryo, the bride's side people, the bride's side ladies especially, marriages and all, these are ladies' festivities. And therefore they would like the Jāmātā, first I will welcome him. So they all grab, one will grab one hand, the other will grab the other hand, and they'll make him alight down, come down, and they will garland him, and all that stuff. So as these bandhunāryaha, jāmātaraṃ, pravahaṇād, from his carriage, they bring him down, of course, to welcome him. Similarly, these jackals, they are pulling down rathinam to welcome him, to have feast on him. How is this rathin? Rathinam is dvitiya ekavachanam, accusative singular. So all the dvitiya ekavachana are the adjective of this rathin. How is this rathin? kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ. On his munda, on his head, there is a garland. Now, did he come to fight wearing a garland? No. Where is the garland then? In his neck, on his head. Mālyairdhvajāgrapatitaiḥ. When the Rathi sets out for war, he garlands the dhvaja, the pataka. That let it be a shubha, let it be a nirvighna samara for him. And therefore, whenever they set out for any adventurous thing, they would worship, and they would worship the flag, because the flag is their gamaka, the chinha of the rathin, isn't it? Therefore, it is called ketu, dhvaja. Another word for dhvaja is ketu. Ketuhu kasmat ketayati, chiketayati, jñāpayati iti ketuhu. And therefore, when from afar a person can locate kapidhvaja, he will say, oh, Arjuna is coming here. So every dhvaja will have a typical emblem. Like Duryodhana's emblem, we know it had a gajaḥ. Arjuna's emblem on the dhvaja is a kapi, right? Kapidhvajaha. So that dhvaja is garlanded before they set out for war. And now, because the rathas are broken, the rathi is no more alive, the dhvaja has fallen down, and the mala which was kept on the dhvaja has fallen, is decorating the neck of this rathi. Okay? So, mālyairdhvajāgrapatitaiḥ kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ. So, he is kṛtamuṇḍamāla due to the dhvajas which were used to worship the ratha before they set out for the war. ratnaikasāyakavaraṃ, and he has been pierced with sayaka, the arrows, the best of the arrows. Lagna eka sayakavaram. So one very best of the arrows has pierced his body through, and it had chopped off his head, and that sayaka is still there, rooted in the flesh of the neck. The head is chopped off, but that sayaka, that arrow, is still there in the neck. Okay? So, lagnaikasāyakavaraṃ vipannam rathinam. He has met with his vipada. He has met with his calamitous end. So, vipannam rathinam lagnaikasāyakavaraṃ kṛtamuṇḍamālaṃ. Now, when Jāmātā comes, he will be setting out with a garland in his neck. He is going with great pomp and glory. So he is also kṛtamuṇḍamāla, rathin is also kṛtamuṇḍamāla. He is also taken down from some pravahana, from some carriage. This rathin also is taken down from some carriage, that is his ratha. So there is this similarity, but the comparison is not at all relishable. So this upama is madhurya bhavat na rasyate. There is no madhurya in it, and therefore we can't really take rasasvada of this particular upama. jāmātaraṃ pravahaṇādiva bandhunāryo hṛṣṭāḥ śivā rathamukhādavatārayanti. I hope the verse is clear. Now there we read thereafter a long prose passage filled with so many compounds, It's a big compounded sentence, like Banabhatta would compose, If you have heard of Kadambari, like Shudrakam Dadarsha, that Chandala Kanya saw Shudraka, and what precedes is pages and pages of one sentence. Dadarsha, the Kriyapada would come at the end, and all other things would be the adjectives of King Shudraka. Similarly, but not so long, but very enjoyable prose. Bhasa, I told you in the beginning, he writes very pithy sentences, very simple prose. This is very unlike of Bhasa. But the situation is demanding. The situation is not a normal situation. It is something fierce happening, something terrible happening all around, and therefore all such words they have gathered together. Ahotukhalu, sarve, all together they say, what is this happening, Here lies the charma, here lies the varma, there are some arrows scattered there, there is a bow lying there, there is a kabandha, there is the head, there is a, hand severed from the body, the leg severed from the body, all this terrible description. Ahotukhalu. Nihata patita gaja turaga nara rudhira kalila bhumi pradeshasya viśīrṇavarmā charma ātapatra chamara tomara shara kunta kavacha kabandhādiparyakulasya shakti prasa parashubhindi pala shula musala mudgara varaha karna kanapa karpana śaṅkutrāsigadādibhirāyudhairākīrṇasya samantapañcakasya pratibhayatā. Ahotukhalu samantapañcakasya pratibhayatā. Samantapañcaka is the Kurukshetra. What a terrible sight of this samantapañcaka. Pratibhayatā, frightening, terrifying. What a terrifying sight of samantapañcaka. Samantapañcakasya is Shashti, and therefore the Shashtyanta padas are the Visheshanas of samantapañcaka. The Visheshana Visheshya have to be in the same vibhakti, same vachana. Okay? Samantapañcakasya Shashti ekavachana, and therefore all the Shashtyantas are the Visheshanas. We go one by one deciphering. First, let us start from the beginning. Nihata, falling down. Nihata is strike, dashing. Nihata, strike at. Patita, and therefore falling down. Who are falling down when they are struck at? Gaja, turaga, nara. The elephants, the horses, the warriors, the people, but the padati, the infantry, you can say. Tesham rudhiram, their rudhira, that is their blood. Rudhirena kalilaha, pankilaha, the whole, what pankila? Bhupradeshasya. So Samantapañcaka is having that soil, that land, which has become muddy because of the blood of the people, the warriors, the elephants and the horses, which have failed down when they are struck against, when they are hit by the arrows, etc. by different weapons. Got this line clear? It seems a long sentence, but you split every word, it becomes very easy. Nihata, hit, patita, falling down. Who all? Gaja, turaga, nara. Okay. Rudhira, kesham rudhiram, tesham rudhiram, gaja, turaga, naranam rudhiram. Tena kim bhutam, tena pankilaha jataha. Kaha pankilaha jataha? Bhupradeshaha pankilaha jataha. Kaha bhupradeshaha? Samantapañcakasya bhupradeshaha. So samantapañcakasya pratibhayatā. Aho. Kīdrishasya samantapañcakasya etādrishasya rudhira pankilasya bhupradeshasya kurukshetrasya pratibhayatā. Ahotukhalu. So that is one adjective. Okay. Like that we split the other now. Vikshipta. Vikshipta, V plus kshipa, to toss around. Kshipa is to throw. Vividha, viruddha dishi, maybe different directions, and vividha, various places. So vikshipta, tossed around. Tossed around what? Varma. Varma is what? The kavacha. Charma is the shield. Dhal. In Hindi and Marathi, dhal talwar, the sword and the shield. Okay? You hold the shield in your hand to protect your body, and with the right hand you strike with your asi, okay? The khadga. So charma is the shield, varma is the kavacha, atapatra is the parasol, the chhatra. Atapat trayate iti atapatram nama chhatram. Atapatra is an umbrella. Now these umbrellas are the royal umbrellas. All the kings are fighting there, and therefore they will be covered. Somebody will be there to hold umbrella on their heads. So these atapatras are also scattered all around, tuta, puta, like that. So varma, charma, atapatra, chamara, the chauris. Chamara, the chauris. Chamara is made up of chamari type of cow. People say chamari could be yak, Y-A-K, yak, which you find in the northern regions, especially the Himalayan regions. So this is the Roma pucha, the bushy tail of the yak or the chamari type of cow. From that the chauris are made, and this is a royal insignia, right? Now here also you have seen that we do in the pujas, our Swamiji does the chamara puja, chhatra, chamara vyajanakadikam, in the Manasa puja also we say this. Chatram chamarayoryugam vyajanakam chadarshakam nirmalam veena bheri mridanga kahalakala geetam chandrityam tatha. Right? So this is that chamara. So chamara, then tomara. Tomara is a javelin. Tomara is a javelin type of spear. Bhala. Then shara now shrunati, anena, that which pierces, that which kills, from root shru. Interestingly, the noun sharira, meaning body, is also derived from the same root. Shru, shirnatvat, shiryate tat shariram. Yat shiryate, that which withers out, that which vanishes, that is called sharira. So shara, kunta. Kunta is again kuntaha pravishanti, the bhala, the spear only. Okay. Some people they make a distinction in tomara and kunta. Tomara they say lohaihi nirmitaha dandaha, and they have a crescent shape pointing downwards. Tomara is a ardhachandrakriti spear, whereas spear is like an arrow but a long one, javelin throw, right? So tomara, kunta. In the Samskrita Sahitya, those who are reading Lakshana, they know kuntah pravishanti, manchaha kroshanti. So this is the example of Lakshana, the metaphoric or implied meaning of a word. Okay. When you say kuntaha pravishanti, it is not the spears are entering. The people wielding the spears in their hands, they are entering. But what is expressed is kuntaha pravishanti. Now kuntaha, the spear is an inanimate jada object. How can it enter a room? It is the people with spears in their hands who are entering. To explain that, it is stated kuntah pravishanti. So kunta, kavacha, again an armor, bandha, kavacha, kabandha. Kavacha and kabandha. Kabandha is a headless body. Kabandha is a headless body. You may know the story of Kabandha from the Ramayana, right? The headless Viradha, right? Viradha Rakshasa. So Kabandha, the headless body, Adi, etc. Pariyakulasya. The entire region, the entire Bhupradesha is covered by these varma, charma, shara, kunta, kabandha, scattered all around. Wherever you just see, you can see kabandha or kavacha or charma or tomara or kunta and shara and this and that. So wherever, it is not a very pleasant sight to behold, right? So kavacha kabandhādi paryakulasya samantapañcakasya pratibhayatā. Okay? And now the last, longest sentence. Shakti, prasa. Now this gives you all the ayudhas, different names of the weapons. See, if Bhasa belongs to the 3rd or the 4th century before the common era, and this is the variety of the weapons which are used during the battle, just see how advanced our technology, our metallurgical knowledge must have been. The Indians knew metallurgy, and without rust, the weapons not getting rusted were used throughout the years by the warriors and the kings. Okay? So Shakti. Shakti is a weapon again. Shakti, Prasa, these are all the names of the weapons. Shakti is like a missile which is to be thrown. Then Shakti, Prasa is also a weapon like this. Shakti, a kind of missile, a dart or a spike which is thrown. Then Prasa is pra plus asa. Pra is the upasarga and asa is to throw. Asyati, right? So prasa, throwing, discharging something. Again a dart or a barbed missile. A barbed, wired missile. Prasyate, kshipyate iti prasaha. That is called kuntasram. Kunta asram. Then parashu, prasa, shakti, prasa, parashu, Parashurama holding his axe on his shoulder, parashu. Bhindipala or bhindipala, the is also used sometimes, bhindipala. That is also, like bhindim from root bhida vidarane. Bhindim vidaranam palayati iti hṛṣṭāḥ kandaha. This is like one hand big, one hand long, a bamboo stick, bhindipala. And this is nalikastram iti khyatam. This is hollow like a bamboo and it is called nalikastra. From that you throw, you hold that nalika in your left hand and throw the pointed naracha from that hollowed bamboo. That is called nalika astram. Nalika is a pipe, hollow pipe. Okay, bamboo is a hollow pipe. So nalikastram, bhindipala is nalikastram, and Shabdakalpadruma would give its synonym as sriga, and it is also known as hastakshepa lagudaha. A laguda, a stick, a piece of stick of the length of one hand, from here to here, of the length of one hand, which is thrown. Okay, so that is bhindipala. Then shula, trishula, shula. So that is a sharp pointed weapon, a dart again or a lance, spear. Then musala is a pestle, ulukhala musala. You know that ulukhala musala, the mortar and the pestle. So this is a pestle. Mudgara or mudga, both words are used. Mudgara is again a club or a mace. Okay. And this is loštādibhedane also it is used, mudgara. Varahakarana is a kind of arrow. Like naracha is a kind of arrow. Similarly, varahakarana, the arrow will have the tip like the ears of a varaha, a bear. Okay, a boar. So varahakarana. Kanapa is it is given as a kind of iron bar. Kanapa is iron bar. Lohastambhastu kanapaha. Lohastambhastu kanapaha. And Dashakumara Charita of Dandin, a very great writer of prose, he says, he calls it a weapon like a bomb. Kanapa is something like a bomb. And Mahabharata also uses the word Kanapa. It says, Ayah Kanan. Why Kanapa? Kanan pibati asau Kanapaha. Ayah Kanan nama loha gulikaha pibati iti तथा विधम आग्नेय औषध बलेन गर्भसंभृता लोहगुलिकाः तारकाः इव विकीर्यन्ते येन तद्यन्त्रमयः कणपः लोहमयः. So kanapa is made up of iron. It is something like a small cannon, you can say, because ayakkana, the what is that? The cannon ball. That ball consists of all the ayakkana, and when it goes with an impact and falls somewhere, it gets burst, and therefore it is called something like a weapon, like a bomb. Okay, it may be a small cannon ball. Kanapa. So kanapa. Then karpana. Karpana is a kind of weapon. It is again something like a lance or a spear. And Dashakumara Charita has mentioned all these weapons like Chapa, Vakra, Kanapa, Karpana, Prasa, Pattisha, Musalatomaradi, Praharana Jalam, Upayunjanaha, Kumaraha. Some Kumara, this is a story of 10 Kumaras, right? 10 young people who set out for an adventure and they meet at one particular place after a year. Okay, that is the story of Dashakumara. So Dandi also mentions Karpana. So Kanapa, Karpana, Shanku. Shanku or Shankutra is again a dart, a spike or a javelin, a dagger sometimes, a small dagger. Shankate asmad iti trasadayi shanku. So small dagger can be pierced very closely when the enemy is like with the to the distance of a hand blows, you can pierce his body with this dagger as well. So Shanku, then Asi. Asi is the sword, then Gada, the club, the mace, Gadādibhihi ayudhaihi avakīrṇasya. So when the warriors are dead, the kings are dead, their ayudhas, their weapons, all these different ayudhas are scattered there without anybody alive to hold them and use them. Okay? So this is the samantapañcaka, the entire Kurukshetra, which looks so very terrible with all these weapons scattered around, all the bodies, the carcasses, the dead bodies of the warriors and the the elephants and the horses lying around and their blood oozing out, and it has all become very muddy, pankila. So very terrible description of this. Ihahi, again there will be 3 more verses by the 3 soldiers. Prathamaḥ, ihahi, rudhirasarito nistīryante hatadvipasaṅkramā nṛpatirahitaihi srastaihi sūteihi vahanti rathan hayāh patitashirasah purvabhyāsād dravanti kabandhakāh purusharahitaah mattaah nāgāh brahmanti yatastatah. This is again a very good description here. So this is like the rivers of blood are flowing. It is not blood drops are oozing out. So many people are dead. Hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people. It was like the world war. We have the very first reference of world war in the Rigveda, which is called Dasharajnya Yuddha. And Vasishtha in the 7th mandala perhaps witnessed that, and he has given aankho dekha hal, so he has described it very vividly. That might be the first recorded world war. The second we come across in the Ramayana, and the third perhaps in this Mahabharata. Of course, Ramayana Yuddha was fought in the other land, not on our land. So in our land, after Dasharajnya Yuddha, Mahabharata Yuddha was the world war. which really affected, and the entire generations were lost together. All the generations were lost together. So, rudhirasarito, nistīryante, the rivers of blood are nistīryante, they are flowing and people have to jump to cross over that, not to get their feet soiled by the blood. They have to jump. They are as if crossing the rivers. When you want to cross the river, you use something. So here also they are using something as boats to take them across these rivers of blood. And what are the saṅkramas? What are the bridges? hatadvipasaṅkramā. The killed elephants, the bodies of the elephants, the rivers are flowing beneath the bodies of the elephants, and the elephants' bodies are used as if the bridges to cross these rivers of blood. What a terrific description. So the elephants serve as bridges, and because the people don't, whosoever is alive, and they are searching for their belonging, they are searching for their dear and near ones, who is lying where, those who are alive. So they are wandering all around this battlefield, and when they want to cross, they have to use the dead bodies of elephants lying there, as the bridges to cross over the rivers of the blood. Rudhirasarito, nistīryante, hatadvipasaṅkramā, nṛpāyudhāgāramā srastaihi sūtaihi vahanti rathan hayaha. Nṛpāyudhāgāramā srastaihi sūtaihi. In the chariots, there are neither the kings nor the Sūta, the charioteers. Neither the charioteers are there, they are also dead, and the rathin, the warriors, they are also dead, and hayaha, those turagas, those horses who are not yet dead, they are carrying, they are just pulling the empty chariots. Rathan vahanti hayaha. Kīdrushan rathan vahanti sūtaihi rahitan nṛpatibhihi rahitanscha rathan vahanti hayaha. Okay? So the empty chariots are being carried by the horses. Empty because neither the warriors are alive nor the charioteers are alive. The third line gives a very terrible picture. Patitashirasaha kabandhakaha purvabhyasad dravanti. Dravanti is not flowing here. Drava basically means something which is liquid, which flows, right? But drava also means run away, helter-skelter. Abhidravanti, for example. Abhi plus dhru is used particularly in this sense, to run around, okay? Kabandhakaha dravanti. Is it possible? Headless bodies are running here and there. Headless bodies are running. Patita shirasaha, and therefore they are known as kabandha. Therefore they are called as kabandha. Purva abhyasad. How they are running around? Because their feet, their legs are used to run around here and there and, fight with their swords and their bows and arrows. This looks very unbelievable, is it not? This looks very unbelievable until we come across the great Maratha warrior, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And when his soldiers, they wanted to get back the Kille Purandar, the fort of Purandar in Maharashtra, there was huge, terrible fight. Dilair Khan was the Mughal Sardar employed by Aurangzeb, and from our side, from Chhatrapati's side, one very brave warrior, Murarbaji Deshpande, he was fighting. And it is said, when the Yavanas, the Mughal people, warriors, chopped off his head, he was holding swords, samsher. There is a difference between asi and this samsher. Samsher is a straight pointed sword and not the curved one. Normally sword which you see is the curve. There is a little bent, vakrata in the tip portion. Here Samsher is a long one, Both hands he was holding Samsher and fighting, with both hands. His head was chopped and still he was fighting. And Diler Khan was aghast to see what's this happening. Murarabaji karikaranji purandaravara hridayachi. There is a Marathi song on this. Murarabaji karikaranji purandaravara hridayachi. Hridayachi karanji. His heart is pierced. The blood is coming out like springs. And he is fighting with both hands holding his, holding the swords in both of his hands. This may be an hyperbolic expression, I do agree, but kabandhakaha patitashirasaha purvabhyasa dravanti, when Bhasa describes that, for a moment, even if the head is chopped off, the body still, because it is habituated to, it will go on fighting, it will go on running here and there. What a realistic picture. You can visualize Murarbaji, प्राणाची बाजी लावलेली आहे, मुरारबाजी देशपांडा. सो पतित शिरसः पूर्वाभ्यासा द्रवन्ति कबंधकाः पुरुषरहिताः मत्ताः नागाः भ्रमन्ति इतस्ततः और यतस्ततः. पुरुषरहिताः नागाः, the elephants, mattaha nagaha. It is said that before the elephants go on war, they are drunk. The sura is given to them so that, they become wild and invincible. Nobody can stop them. Unstoppable gait of elephants is only during the wars because they are matta. That is one thing. Secondly, they are inborn matta. They are in such youthful state. They are not the old elephants which can be used only in the processions. They are the youthful elephants from whose temples the mother oozes out, the ichor, the rut. So they are in the full rut. Mazala alele hatti. So they are in full rut. So ichor is oozing out. So matta you can take in both the meanings. They are gandhagaja. They are very brave and a special quality of elephants. Do read the Hasti article, I told you once from the Mrigapakshi Shastra book. So, Purusharahitaha Mattaha, the Mahavats, the Hastipakas, one who protects the Hasti with his Ankusha, one who, directs the elephant, he is also failed down by some arrows. So, these Nagas are Purusharahita. They have nobody to control them, to direct them, to guide them, to supervise them, to govern them, and therefore they are going wherever they want. Purusharahitaha mattaha nagaha yatastataha, from that side to this side, from this side to that side, they are wildly roaming around. So we have the empty chariots being drawn by the horses, then the people who are bache khuche log, so they are crossing these rivers of blood on the bridges of the dead bodies of elephants, and the headless bodies are also fighting. They are running helter-skelter, and the intoxicated elephants, without anybody to guide and control them, they are also wandering here and there. So this is the description of the battlefield. Dvitiyaha idam aparam pashyetam. He also wants to describe. Everybody, they have witnessed it, and they are so eager to tell the spectators who are seated in the theater what all is happening on the battleground. Okay? Idam aparam pashyetam bhavanto ete who? Gridraha. Now he will be describing Gridra, the vultures. Gridraha madhuka mukulonnata pingalakshaha दैत्येन्द्र कुंजर नतांग नतांकुश तीक्ष्णतुंडाः भान्त्यंबरे वितल लंब विकीर्ण पक्षाः मांसैः प्रवाल रचिता इवतालवृन्ताः. Again an upama, but with bibhatsarasa. All these upamas etc. they come with bibhatsa. The earlier verse we saw, the verse number 10, it gives you, I told you, you can visualize, kabandhakahar running, though chopped off, their heads are chopped off, like you can imagine how Murarbaji must have fought. So that was an example of Svabhavukti. Here we come across an upama, but with bibhatsa rasa and Vasanta Tilaka Vritta. The thing is, Gridraha, this is a description of Gridraha, Bhanti Ambare. They look or they are seen in the sky. Bha is really to shine, to look good. Now these Gridra, who will appreciate the sights of vultures flying in the sky? So it will be, they appear in the sky. You have to take Bhanti as like Santi, Vidyante, Ambare, okay? Bhanti Ambare, but maybe has used the word Bhanti because he has given some upama to their beaks and all, and therefore they look so good. Bhanti Ambare, Talavrintaha Iva. How do they look? How do they appear? Like Talavrinta, like fans, like Vyajana. Vyajana, fans. Like fans they look. Why fans? And therefore you have to go back to the description how the Gridras are described here. Okay? The Gridras are Pingalakshaha. See? Pingala Akshaha. Their eyes are brownish red. Pingala, brownish red. Pingat. Like what? Madhuka Mukula Unnata. Pingala as brownish red as if Madhuka Kalika. Madhuka is the Madhuka Vruksha, Mohatsa Zhad. This is a type of Vruksha, and from the flowers of these, from the Madhuka flowers, the country people make wine. Mohachi Daru. Daru is wine. Mohachi Daru. So this is the Madhuka Pushpa, and the Kalika would look reddish in color. The Kalika, the buds of these Madhuka flowers are reddish in color. So Madhuka Kalika Sadrishe Nayane Yesham Tadrishaha Gridraha Pingalakshaha. Clear? The first line is clear? Gridraha Madhuka Mukulonnata Pingalakshaha. Unnata, popping out. The eyes are popping out and they are reddish in color, as red as the Madhuka Mukula. Okay. Second, this thing, Tundaha. Now their, the description of their Tunda, the mouth of a bird is the beak. Is it not? The mouth is the beak. Daityendra Kunjara Natankusha Tikshna Tundaha. Their beaks are sharp. Tikshna, very sharp. Sharp like what? Ankusha. Ankusha is the iron thing, which is used by the Mahavats to control the elephants. So that is Ankusha. Punascha Tikshnani Mukhani Nama Chanchvaha Yesham Kidrisham Tikshnatvam Ankushasya Iva Tikshnatvam. And this Ankusha is used especially to curb and control Daityendra Kunjara. Daityendra is Bali. Daityanam Daityeshu va Indraha. Daityendra is Bali Raja. His Kunjara, his elephant. So his Gajendra. So Balehe Gajam Natam Kartum, matlab to control that Gaja, Ankusha is used. How that Ankusha will be so sharp? Similarly, the beaks of these Gridras are very sharp. Daityendra kunjara natankusha tikshnatundaha. So with their sharp beaks, they are able to pierce the bodies also of the dead warriors. That much sharpness is there. Sharpness comparable to the ankusha. Okay? Daityendra natankusha tikshnatundaha. Then, vitata lamba vikirna pakshaha. Vitataha tanu vistare visheshena. Those who have stretched their wings, the vultures and the eagles can boast of very long wings, unlike the crows and other birds, which we see around. So, vitata and lamba, lambayamanaha prasaritaha. See, the wings may be very long, but if you really, up failate hai, so then they will look long. Otherwise, they will be attached to your body. The long wings will be attached to the body. So, the gridharas are flying and therefore the wings are spread out, stretched out. Vitataha and spread out. Lambayamanaha pakshaha. Paksha are the wings. So, their wings are spread out and stretched out. Long wings are stretched out, and they are having in their beaks are as sharp as ankusha. Now that ankushatva they have to test. They have to use the ankushatva, the tikshnatva. What they are doing? They are, snatching the flesh balls, the fresh flesh from the dead bodies. And that is sticking to their beaks, and it is just because the warriors are dead, the Hasti, Turaga, Nara all are dead, and they are snatching the flesh balls, and therefore that flesh is accompanied by rudhira, by blood, and therefore they look the red balls of flesh. And in their beaks they are holding these freshly chopped, snatched flesh balls as red as mukta pravala rachitaiva. Pravala is coral. Pravala is coral. Coral is reddish, right? Orangish red in color. So that redness which is sticking to their beaks is comparable here. I mean, Bhasa has compared that as if they are carrying pravala, the coral beads in their mouth, with their beaks. It is not the corals which they are carrying the flesh balls, but they are looking red as if they are the coral beads. Okay? Again, upama, not at all relishable. But because it is like pravala rachitaha iva talavruntaha, as the talavrunta is spread out, the talapatra which is used to fan the kings and the high-born people, they will have the pravala rachita, the coral embedded at the end, because it is a royal insignia. The chhatra, the chamara, the vyajana, it is all the royal insignia, right? And therefore the royal people, the kings and the high-born people will be fanned by their servants with the spread out long talavruntas embedded with pravala, and therefore the long spread out wings of these gridharas with fresh balls of flesh in their mouth compared to pravala rachita talavrunta. Clear? So this is the upama which Bhasa uses. Not so good, right? Especially after the Khandakavya, not relishable. Tritiyaha, we'll read one more and then we'll stop for today. Tritiyaha, Esha nirasta hayanaga narendra yodhaha vyakti krita dinakara ugra karais samantat nara chakunta sharatomara khadga kirnaha tara ganam patitam udvahativa bhumihi. Bhumihi patitam taraganam udvahati iva drishyate. The earth, the bhumi, looks like what? patitam taraganam, as if the sky has fallen down, the stars have fallen down. So the stars are there everywhere on the bhumi. That is the simple meaning. Now the stars can't come, from the sky, they won't fall down, and the bhumi will not be taragana. So there are some other things which remind you of the shining taraganas. What is that? Esha nirasta haya naga narendra yodha bhumihi. So Narendra Yodha, this is a prathama ekavachana. So bhumihi, it is the visheshana for bhumihi. How is this bhumi? Esha bhumihi, this land of what? Samantapañcaka, that is Kurukshetra. It is nirasta, annihilated. What? Haya, Naga, Narendra, Yodha. We have come across this many times now, right? All the elephants and horses and kings and warriors are annihilated. They are dead. Vyaktikrita dinakara ugra prakaraihi samantat. The sun won't stop rising, right? The sun will rise every day, whatever may happen on the earth. So, previous evening, this battleground, is filled with all these dead bodies and all. Next morning, the sun rises. Ugrakaraihi, with his bright rays, he illumines the entire scene. Vyaktikrita, and then this is all visible. Vyaktikrita, all the things which were not seen during the evening and the night time are clearly seen during the daytime. Vyaktikrita dinakara ugrakaraihi samantat. And what is that which is lying all around? Naracha, kunta, shara, tomara, khadga. This bhumi is scattered all around with the arrows, the clubs, the maces, the spears, and what not, all the ayudhas. Now the ayudhas will not shine like a taragana, but because of the dinakara ugra karaihi vyaktikrita, the bright rays of the sun fall on these iron things, they get reflected, and because of that reflection, here and there they get reflected. It appears as if the entire Tara Mandala has fallen down on this bhumi. Shining, in between, because the iron thing would give that light, would emit the light when the bright sun rays fall directly on it. Is it not? Because it is said in Marathi and Hindi, Marathi especially, shastranna dhar lavli jate. And when it is dhardar, when it is so sharpened, then talwaricha pani, it will shine. So the talwar or the arrows, all the iron element in that, the metallic part of these weapons, they would shine in the bright sunlight. And because they are shining, not continuously, wherever there is a iron tip, that will shine, and therefore twinkling. Wherever there is iron, it will twinkle, it will shine, and therefore taraganam. Very weird, so to say, upama, but nonetheless, it is taraganam iva bhumya bhumihi bhati. Again, a Vasanta Tilaka vritta and upama alankara. So I think it is enough now for the day, because we have completed one cycle of all the three soldiers describing about this. So next Sunday we will see again the rest of the portion of the Vishkambhaka, and then the main act will start when Duryodhana will also enter. Of course, there are few more verses before the Vishkambhaka gets over. So be patient for this description, the Bibhatsarasa description done by Bhasa. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. See you next Sunday. Till then, goodbye.